action figure fans? It's the one and only Optibotimus coming with another video review. And on today's episode, we're going to be taking a look at the new Hot Toys MMS 378-D17 of the new die-cast Iron Man Mark 6. For the package, this is the front of the box. You can see that image from the front wraps around on both sides. And this is the back of the box with the cast and crew responsible for making this figure. And as I said, it's a die-cast figure, so what that means is we get this really heavy-duty foam insert with the Iron Man Mark 6 logo right there. And then when you bring that down, on the inside is the figure and all of his fallen accessories. But for the packaging on this guy, that's about it. So without further ado, let's get him out here and see how cool he actually is. And here he is. And it's amazing to me that I think the very first version of the Mark 6 came out in 2011, I think. So about 7 years ago. And taking out my original Mark 6 from my Hall of Armor and comparing it to this guy, there is a huge evolution of the technique and engineering that Hot Toys has developed. This guy is absolutely superior in being what a lot of fans, in addition to like the Mark III and Mark IV, kind of view as a classic look for Iron Man. Hot Toys here has just elevated their game by leaps and bounds. Now, starting off first with his accessories, one thing that I will say is that this guy doesn't really come with as much as that original one did. The original version had a lot of battle damage parts. This has a few, but I feel the fact that this is a die-cast figure and we get this big display, which I'll touch on, kind of limited some of the other smaller accessories that we got. So first, in addition to the two fisted hands that are currently on him, he does come with a pair of articulated hands. We have seen this before. The fingers have the different joints and such. The thumb has a nice joint. You have the open repulsor so that you get that nice light up effect. You do have an articulated wrist flap right here, as you can see. Really gorgeous red color. One thing that kind of plagued the early Iron Man suits was what was known as the pink panties. Basically what they did was they used kind of rubbery material that the red faded, and instead of being a very nice Iron Man red color, it turned pink. Now I do have that on my original, I'll show it to you, but these have a very nice red color and they're hard plastic, so I imagine the paint and everything will stay on here very, very nicely. So you do have those, and then you also do get a pair of repulsor blast hands that you can see. You have the molded in wrist guard. This part here is not articulated, so don't try moving that. And then you can see the wrist is on an angle, so you can get a blast pose just like so. And again, you got the clear bit right there so that the light that's in his wrists shines through very nicely. Now, in addition to those, he also does come with the laser blast ones. As you can see, I'm going to come in here. Those ones are pretty standard for the most part, but you can see really nice detail on here. And then you got the opening that he used when he deployed his lasers. Now, the Mark 6 was first revealed to us in Iron Man 2. And it was subsequently used in the majority of the Avengers until it was severely damaged by the helicarrier, and he then started using the Mark 7. But we did see him use the laser blast, and for this, all you have to do is stick it in there just like so. You do get two of them, and you can see it just plugs in here, but you got this nice purplish pink semi-translucent plastic bit. You can see it gets a little bit lighter here, but you do get two for both of the hands. So if you really wanted to, you can have one in there and put that in there, and you can do lightsaber battles with it. But you do have that, so and he used these. Remember, he used them more in Avengers than he did in Iron Man 2. The Iron Man 2 was like, he made a joke that was like a one-shot thing, and then Rhodey's like, well, maybe you should lead with that next time. But they were more used in future things. I mean, he started using lasers more, but this was the first suit to incorporate the laser beam. So you do get those in addition to the fisted hands that allow you to do that, which is really very nice. Now he also does get a lot of like arm armor. I'll show how to attach all of it, but each of them here has 4 different parts. There are 4 compartments on the arms, in the front, the 2 sides, and then the back. And that's what all of these are. So you have one that just has this open missile. We come in here so you can kind of see that really gorgeous detail in there. You got some nice silver, black, gold on there. And again, I'll show how to attach all these. It's fairly easy, honestly. You have a little bit smaller one with some nice silver and gold missiles on the inside there. You also do have another one that's a little bit bigger that does have some of those small little missiles in there also. And then you get another side bed here with more missile bits kind of popping out. Now, a lot of these were used when he was about to fight Loki. You remember the whole reindeer games thing. That's where a lot of these came out. He also does have shoulder, I guess they're missiles. I mean, I don't think they were machine guns or anything like that, but they kind of look like they're missiles. They might be machine guns. I honestly, I don't really remember now. But coming in to take a look, you can see you got some nice gold paint on the inside. You got the black and then the shoulder bit here. This is attached via magnet, which is really very nice. All these other ones are little clip-on ones, which I wish they would have done it with magnets. I mean, this is a die-cast figure. I think they could have used that metal aspect a little bit better, but it is what it is. We'll show all that off here in a bit. Now, I did talk about how he does come with some battle damage parts. He comes with the chest, which, as you can see, severely battle damaged, which looks great. You got all the holes, you got the gash right there, and then you have his mask that has the battle damage on there as well. Now, this figure is done up on the packaging to talk about Avengers. They're saying that this is like the Avenger figure, and that's where like this base also comes from. It was used in the Avengers. This battle damage stuff here, though, is damage that he got from fighting Whiplash in Iron Man 2. So kind of wish they included battle damage that was more geared towards the Avengers, and that's where the original one does come with it. I mean, if you remember, he had a lot of battle damage in terms of like his thighs. He had a completely separate arm that was battle damaged. A lot of that was taken away from this. Now, in taking that away, they made him out of die cast. They give us this large base. They give us these little bits right here. Almost wish they didn't give us this. I like the fact that he's die cast, and they're going back and they're revisiting a lot of their classic suits and putting them in die cast, which I do like. They've done it most recently in terms of the original Hall of Armor with the Mark III. They've done that. I haven't actually gotten that because the thing that bothered me about that was I like displaying my original Hall of Armor suits in the Hall of Armor. The Mark III, as it appeared in the film when it was in the Hall of Armor, had the battle damage on it. The figure, the die-cast one that came out, did not come with battle damage, so I didn't want to get it because it wouldn't have accurately replicated how it looks in the Hall of Armor, so I passed on that one. This one, though, I'm okay with because it doesn't come with all that. But I do wish that he came with more movie-specific battle damage. Like I said, these are nice, but not Avengers specific. So you do have that. You also do have this new portrait of Robert Downey Jr. It's updated from the original one that we got. There we go. Come on, focus. Looks really very good. You got that classic look where the whole head is wrapped around the helmet. You can take this. It's magnetic, so you can pop that on there very nicely. You can also lift it up just like that and have an exposed look. Now, you can also take this and you can put it on the regular head, or, I mean, you can take the regular head that doesn't have the battle damage and you can put it here as well. You can swap it around because both of them have magnets, so it works really nicely. But I dig that look. Yes, it is damaged, like I said, but I mean, it's cool. And that's a really great likeness to Robert Downey Jr. I think that they nailed it there. One thing is they're experts by this point in time in getting Robert Downey's look. So if you do get that, I'll show all that off as well. Then you also do get this display stand. And again, this is more geared towards Avengers. You do get a die-cast stand for it. You do have the little, I'm flipping it around. and I'm still flipping it around. What's going on? You do have the little crotch grabber, or not crotch grabber, waist grabber, I should say. I'm sorry. It does have some nice foam padding on the inside to protect the figure. This is really nice. I like it. This replicates kind of like, well, we saw it used kind of twice in the beginning after he, activated the Stark Tower, and it became its own power source and stuff. This is the whole device here that allows him to kind of walk and have this take the suit off for him. Because remember, these suits had to be mechanically attached to his body. He also used this later on when he was about to confront Loki. So really very, very nice. Good detail throughout the entire thing. This actually does take batteries. It requires 3 AAA batteries. And then what you can do, you can lift this up, and then remember, this is the thing that kind of went down the stairs with him, followed him, got up like that, and then these little bits here, actually, it's kind of hard to get them out, but there's 2 of these little dudes. Let me see if I can wedge this one out. I want to use the laser. It's a little bit tricky to do. And, oh, there we go. So you can pull this out like so, and you can have these little bits kind of pretending, I'm going to move this out, like it's going to be taking off parts of his suit and stuff, which is cool. But again, when it was like this is when he was standing here. It wasn't straight up until he was much further down the stairs walking away. And as you can see, it's too big form like that. So I mean, really the best way to display it would be like this when it was positioned like this when he first landed. But so you do get these little arms, and you can straighten that up. What's cool though, like I talked about, you use the batteries. You have a little switch right here, and it activates some LED lights on the inside here. That one's a little dark. You can kind of see like 1 2 3 1 2. That one's a little bit dim, and then you have some here. I like it. That's cool looking. I wish it was able to be plugged in. There's a little fake hole right here that I wish I could plug an adapter in there to keep that always lit. I like that on my display pieces. Hot Toys doesn't seem to like it, so it is a little unfortunate. Then you just tuck these away, and then you can see they are articulated. You have a little joint at the base. You have another one here, and then one at the very tip. So you do get some articulation in there, which is nice. Make sure you put that all the way, and then you can close it up just like so. Really very nice. Like I said, though, I feel that because we're getting that, we don't get as much battle damage. And one thing that I've always liked about battle damage things just in general is really battle damaging. This, you put that on his chest, and I'll show that here in a bit. That's the only part that has battle damage. The rest of him is perfectly clean, with the exception of his helmet. So you got those 2 things that have the battle damage. His arms are clean, the legs are clean, the torso from like the waist down is clean. So I feel like it's kind of pointless to include this battle damage when it doesn't really replicate how damaged the suit got. But I mean, in general, good level of accessories, and there's a couple, built-in things to the suit that we'll take a look at. But I feel like the accessories could have been a little bit better. I like what we have. I feel like these pieces here could have been omitted or at least done differently to replicate the damage that he got on his chest and his helmet from the Avengers. And of course, I think that we could have gotten more of the battle damage stuff, but I'm in general fairly happy with what we have here. Now, coming in to take a closer look at the figure, this is absolutely spectacular. The inclusion of diecast in it really does kind of make it feel like it's more an actual Iron Man suit. The plastic ones always look really good, and the paint application is really nice. There's just something more Iron Man-y feeling when it's made out of die-cast. Now, not all of it is. I'm not sure the percentages, but feeling around like the shoulder bits here feel like they are. Some of the sections here on his back feel like they might be. I'm trying to feel where the cold is. Like the upper arms feel like they are. The thigh region, the down here. So a pretty decent amount of die cast, but the detail on this is spectacular. We're very familiar with the Mark 6 suit. And in terms of the overall look, there's not really a lot that's different from the original. It's just some extra refinement in terms of the paint applications. Removing the chest piece here is very easy. You got little pegs right on the back here that reveal really nice intricate detail. You got that triangular arc reactor there. As always, these do have a whole bunch of light up features. Starting off first with the head, you remove the mask, you bring this piece up, you got the battery compartment right on the inside here, flip that on, and then these are all magnetic. You just replace that, and you have his eyes that light up very nicely. Come down to the back section here. This gets a little bit tricky to do. You can lift all of these little pieces and get everything kind of flared out and such, and then kind of reach in here. And it's a little bit tricky, like I said, but pull that out, and you have the battery compartment for the back. You got the switch right here. You flip that. That lights up nicely. I do kind of wish it was a little bit brighter. As it is, you really do see the triangular section in the arc reactor much better than I think you normally would. That's one thing that the original one did very nicely. It did have that triangular arc reactor in there, but it was so much brighter, and even in the movie, the brightness kind of made those details kind of wash away. I like the detail there, don't get me wrong. I just feel, though, that should be a little bit brighter. So you do have that. The arms here come around here. I forgot where they move this bit. And then come around here to the inside of the arm. You actually do have a little, let me bring the camera down. Here we go. On the inside here, you can kind of see a little section. That's where you're going to want to put your fingernail to pop this piece out. And then you have the switch right there. And then you pull that out, and then you can have the big blinding light. So still has all the light up features that the classic suit had. It looks really good. I just think that the light on the chest could be a little bit brighter. That's more a personal preference kind of thing, and getting this is a little bit tricky. You do get the tool to lift this stuff away a little bit easier, but I left it over on my desk, so I'm just trying, there we go, just kind of wedge that out. I mean, I like the detail there, don't get me wrong. I kind of went off on a tangent, sorry. I just feel as if the brightness makes it look a little less like what I would like it to look. Doesn't really matter ultimately at the end of the day, because I don't leave the lights on, so it is what it is. Now, some other details that I wanted to show here are back up at the shoulders. I was talking about the additional accessories, I suppose, and one thing that's really nice, you can bring these out. Well, I'll go over all the articulation, but I just want to get these out of the way so I don't damage anything. But these sections here lift up, and you can see there's some extra missiles on the inside there, which, again, very accurate. And then this piece right here, again, get that out of the way, is magnetic. You just pop that out, and then you take this and put that, did I have that on the right side? Oh, there we go. Put that there. Oh, wait, no, it goes like that. And then you have the additional deployable and the missiles are right there, and that is articulated as well. So that's the integration of this piece. Like I was saying, you do get the additional little bits right here, which are kind of like extra accessories, but they're built in to the suit, so it's really not that much of a difference. But overall, spectacular. The gold color looks really very nice. The red has a very nice look to it. You can see some slight wear on it. Come around to the back. You saw me playing with this before, but he does have the air flaps. You can lift both of those up like that. This is an improvement over the original as well. If you recall, these little bits right here, I'm trying to see if these actually do move out. I don't think they do, to be honest, I think it's just detailed on the bottom section. But one of the problems that the original one had was these little bits were mesh and they didn't lay down all the way. So it made the back stick up a little bit, but you can see that lays down very nice and flush. Come down to look at the rest of the body. Great gold detail in the abdomen area. Unfortunately, he doesn't have the little hip section. Come down a little bit more. That was a deployable armor bit. Or weapon bit in the original, and unfortunately this doesn't have it. I kind of wish that they did incorporate that. That's another bit that unfortunately was left out, but you can still see that the design is still there. You look at the rest of the legs, again, gorgeous gold. I mean, I love how when you move that around, it just captures the light. Really spectacular. Nice silver. You come down to the lower section of the legs, and the back flaps here, well, the back calf things here have little flaps as well, so you can hinge that out, and then you have some additional little flap detail. And again, it's hard to kind of see in there, but great. Well, actually, you can see it pretty decently. Some nice silver paint. You got some yellow wires and such. I mean, tremendous amount of detail in here. Just overall, this piece, it honestly makes me want to go back and get the diecast Mark 6, because that's one that they redid for the Hall of Armor that I never picked up, and honestly, I'm kind of regretting that I didn't now. And for a comparison, here he is next to the original Mark 6. First, right off the bat, there's a huge difference in the weight. I don't have my scale here, but a tremendous difference in the weight of it, and also you can see a little bit loose, unfortunately, in the leg. But the biggest thing that you're seeing, number one, will probably be the proportions. Honestly, this guy's a little bit bigger. It's a little bit more accurate in terms of the overall proportion of the, Iron Man figures and suits and such. So you can see there is a difference there. I never actually did a review on this guy, so this is the first time you guys are really seeing it on my channel. And then, like I was saying, you come around here to the back, and these little bits here always kind of stuck out because you had the little wire mesh thing here, which is nice. I do like that, but it keeps it a little bit poofy. A lot of other detail is still in here. I want to see, he still has the leg section here, which does have some nice paint detail. But like I was talking about, moving this out of the way, these little pieces here definitely are not as articulated as like in the new one. You rotate that, and it sprung the little flare things out on the side. He did have some pieces up here as well, but the overall proportions are what I noticed. Well, in addition to the weight, I noticed that right up front, but both look great. It's a classic look, just a lot more refined in this guy, and the die cast really does help sell things. The other thing I wanted to show off here is the pink panty thing. Now, this I got this a long time ago. I got this from a guy over in the UK who replaced the pink panty. As you can see, it matches perfectly. If I remember right, he was an automotive painter. He did like car detailing and stuff like that, and was able to replace the color and paint on these, which is now several years later, and you can see it is a perfect color match with this. This, though, is the pink panty thing. He didn't do this. He forgot to do this part right here, but this was, like I said, in the Hall of Armor, so you didn't really notice it, but you can see how much different that coloring is, if focuses on it. Much more toned down, a lot pinker in the color than the red itself. So that was a big difference with the two figures, and how this one improved it because it's all plastic or die cast. And then also, I want to show off the light here. You can see just how brighter that is coming in. I mean, again, you can see just how much bright. The detail's still in there, but it's such a bright light that you don't really see those sculpted in triangular details of the arc reactor. That's a little bit more defined of a arc reactor itself, but you turn that on and it just kind of blinds everything. I like that a little bit more. It's not enough to make me say that the original suit is better by any stretch of the imagination. It's just an aspect that I think was better on the previous suit. Not much is, but the light on there definitely was. And then before I go into his articulation, I want to make sure that I cover this. The instruction manual is very key and important to go through. It shows you a lot of stuff, specifically how to swap out the forearm weaponry. So setting this down so I make sure I get it right. First, what we're going to do is come around here to this arm here. I'm going to move this out of the way and kind of situate things. And let me come in so you can see what I'm doing a little bit better. Okay. So now we have these pieces here. We're going to just pull all this stuff off. It does get a little bit tricky to do. So you're going to pull off that little bottom section. Then you can replace that with this. It just pegs in there. So you can see you have that replacement section there. This little outer section comes away. So here we have the arm. It's a little bit problematic, but you have it all fully deployed, which looks absolutely incredible. Now, like I said, there's actually some light up stuff in here that I neglected to show. So you pull this piece back off. Let me get a fingernail in there. There we go. And you turn this on. Now, in addition to the repulsor blast, which I should probably put on there for you so that you can kind of see. I'll put the right hand on there. Let me put this on there just to really demonstrate that for you guys. You just pop that on there. It's a nice sturdy ball joint. You can see lifting that up. Very nice bright light. But also the inside. You can see around there some blue lights that look absolutely terrific. Now, it also is in the torso area. I didn't even notice this when I was playing around with it at first. So lifting this up, removing this piece, get that out of the way, flipping that switch. I'm sure several of you guys noticed those little lights in there when I was playing with this before. You see it a little bit better when you kind of angle it back like that. Obviously, the arc reactor lights up, but you can see that in there, which is spectacular. It really, really is. Extra little bits like that really do go a long way towards really recreating the look and accuracy that it had in the movie. So kudos again to Hot Toys for that, and I apologize for not catching that sooner, but now you guys see it. So that is his fully deployed arm. Then you can, let me zoom back, you can then, like I said, lift this up. You can take this piece, it's magnetic, remove that, and put that right there as well. And then you can do the, reindeer games thing. I don't remember what he said, but that is really cool. Now, leaving all that stuff attached to him to go through the articulation. For the head, as you can see, it is on a ball joint. You get a nice, that pops up. You get a nice range of motion. It does hinge back fairly decently for flying poses and such. The lower section here is on a ball joint that you can move that around a little, but it doesn't really get too much added articulation. The shoulders, much like a lot of the new die-cast figures, you can extend them out. It gives you a little bit extra of a butterfly joint, and then this piece here is also on a very nice articulated hinge, as well as I think a ball joint right there, so you can kind of move that away. And you can move that all the way up like so, keeping that out. You get a nice rotation for the shoulder. You also do get a rotation at the upper part of the bicep, and then again you can collapse that back in. Again, great detail on the intersection here with some nice silver paint and metallic kind of looking stuff. The elbows here bend at about 160 degrees at basically two joints. So you have one joint right there, and then that brings it to about 90, and then the lower joint brings it up a little bit further. The wrists do have that ball joint, very standard for these Iron Man figures. You also do have that little articulated flap right there. Come down to the waist. I'm going to get this kind of out of the way. As it is, it does have a slight rotation right here. That gets a little bit of a more limited range of motion, but then you can extend it up like so, and then you get a much greater range of motion. You can see it pivots side to side. You got those little articulated joints there, moves forward and back, so you can kind of bend it like so. Get the little added rotation with the lower section moving around. Really very, very nice. Collapse all that back down. Then you come down here to the hip area. These little pieces move up like so, and then the back ones also move out. So you could probably get like a ground pound. It would be, you'd have to be a little bit creative in doing it, but you can definitely do it. You can move that out, and it moves out to about there, moves in and out fairly decently, rotates at the upper part of the thigh, and then you have that extending joint down there that allows you to bring it down to get a much further range of motion, both forward and back. Really very, very nice, and you can see that it does kind of dislodge things, but shift that back up like so. You come down to the knee. You have nice heavy-duty ratchet joints. As you can see on my previous one, they were a little bit loose. The nice ratchet joints here are really tight on this guy. I'm very happy with how that turned out. I did show you have the little articulated section here in the back. Oh, you also have the little articulated wing flaps there, so you do have that. And then you do have ankles. They do pivot in and out a little. They move forward and back a little. You got a little back section here that does move forward and back. You got a little front section here that comes down when you move the leg down. You got a little piece right there as well. You also have a little bit of toe flex, but you can also then take this foot, and it does get a little bit tricky to grab hold of the sides of it, but you can, you can extend that down. It's tricky to do. There we go. But that gives you a much further kind of outward pose ability in forward and back. It's really stiff, and I don't like doing it. So all the articulation that you could basically expect in the die-cast range of Iron Man figures is here, and really does improve the overall dynamic posability of this guy over that original suit. Overall, though, you guys know just how much I love Iron Man. And the Mark VI is truly one of my favorite classic-looking suits. This figure here is leaps and bounds better than the previous release. Now, ultimately, what it comes down to is, do you think that this is enough of an improvement over that previous one to replace it in a collection? In my opinion, yes, it absolutely is. Is it a perfect release? Unfortunately, no. I do wish he came with more battle damage pieces that were specific to the Avengers and not necessarily Iron Man 3. While I like the battle damage pieces that we have, it just doesn't fit for what this figure is supposed to represent. I feel that they could have kept, that fancy display base and given us some more swappable parts. As it is, all we get is the mask and the chest, and I don't feel like that's enough. Because as I said, you have the damage here, you have the damage here, and there's nothing else on the rest of the body that's damaged. So it kind of looks strange. But what they do, unfortunately, lack there, they make up for in just an overall outstanding figure. The die-cast really does fit Iron Man figures beautifully. What you're kind of seeing is, over time, the lights kind of dim. These batteries are not very good. If you collect Iron Man figures, you know that they're not great. That's a common problem, but whatever. I just figured you guys might have noticed that getting a little bit more dim. Overall, though, this is a terrific piece. I did have the original Mark VI, and I'm happy to replace it with this guy. In fact, I'm probably going to go and sell my original Mark VI and buy the new die-cast Mark III. I'm honestly kicking myself for not getting that. But this guy here is terrific. He's well worth replacing that original, or if you don't have an original, this is a great way to get him. So, all that being said, if the new Hot Toys Iron Man Mark VI diecast is a piece that you like to add to your collection, he is available right now at Big Bad Toy Store. So all you have to do for that is click on the link down in the video description. You'll go to BBTS where you can check out availability on this guy, as well as the rest of the wide range of Hot Toys 1/6 scale figures. But beyond that, guys, that's about it. So once again, I want to thank you for tuning in. This has been Optibotimus. Don't forget that if you like this video, I would really appreciate you letting me know by hitting that thumbs up button. It actually does go a long way towards helping me out, and I would really appreciate it. Also, if you're new here, welcome. And before you go, make sure you subscribe in case you haven't already subscribed. That way you'll get instant email notifications whenever I upload a new video, and you'll never miss out on a future review of mine. Or hey, if you're already subscribed, now more than ever, it's important to make sure that you're getting those email notifications. We all know just how unreliable that YouTube subscription box is, and the best way to help support my channel and not miss any future reviews of mine is to click on that little bell right below this video and double check your settings to make sure that they're set so that you get those email notifications. And as always, until next time, till all are one.